आज क्या टॉपिक है सर?
टॉपिक ये 2 मीन्स का है। ये हाइपोथेसिस टेस्ट। लास्ट टाइम सिंगल मीन का देखा था। सो कंपेयरिंग टू पॉपुलेशन मीन्स। सो we have already seen this topic for finding confidence intervals. Okay. But before that, let me once again revise this. Give a brief introduction of hypothesis test, what we are doing. Okay. So there is a claim or hypothesis that we want to prove or disprove. Okay, that is our idea. Or rather, instead of saying proving or disproving, it is better to say accepting or rejecting. Accepting or rejecting. Okay. So for this, we draw a sample. Okay, and with the help of this sample, we calculate sample statistic. Okay. So we have sample, we calculate sample statistics, and therefore there is a formula for this. Okay. Last time, in case of one mean, we have seen that we can two types of statistics: T statistics and JD statistics. In this case, in two population case, again we will have T statistics and JD statistics. But then you will see that in different situations, the formula for T statistics and JD statistics also changes. Okay, but then we calculate as statistics. Okay, and with the help of these statistics, n that critical value and another one is p-value approach. So we have or sometimes we can use confidence intervals. So these are three approaches we have: critical value approach, p-value approach, and confidence interval approach. So this critical value and p-value and confidence interval, this plays very important role. Which one? This sample statistic. Okay, and in case of hypothesis, we should always remember these three figures. In case of critical value approach, you can see this. There are three figures here: two tail, left tail, right tail. Right tail means our alternate hypothesis is like suppose this is case of two means. So mu1 greater than say mu2. Left tail alternate hypothesis is mu1 less than mu2. And two tail, so alternate hypothesis is mu1 not equal to mu2. These are our three alternate hypotheses. So for this is the figure, and you can see that this T alpha by 2 points we obtain, or in case of left or right tail, we have to find T alpha. So these values, either T alpha by 2 or T alpha, we can find the table for critical value of T table. Okay, we can use the critical value table. critical value table. Okay, for respective distribution. If it is T distribution, it will be T alpha by 2 T alpha. If it is a normal distribution, it will be Z alpha by 2 Z alpha. Okay, if it is chi-square distribution, so it will be chi-square alpha by 2 and chi-square alpha. And similarly, if it is F distribution, it will be F alpha by 2 and F alpha. Okay, so and before this, what we have done, as just mentioned, that we have already calculated the value of statistic from the given sample. Okay, so this value we have calculated. Suppose it is called T in this case. Okay, so then we compare T and T alpha by 2. So where the position of T lies. If T lies between T minus T alpha by 2 and T alpha by 2, we don't reject null hypothesis. Do not reject H0. So we don't reject null hypothesis. But if this T is greater than T alpha by 2 or it is less than minus T alpha by 2, in both the cases we reject null hypothesis. Similarly, if it is either left-tailed or right-tailed, which are called one-sided hypothesis case, in this case, you can see that if T lies here, that is greater than minus T alpha, we accept H0. Here, if T lies less than or T less than T alpha, we accept H0. So these are, you see that in all the hypothesis case, whether it is for single mean or two mean, or whether it is standard deviation, two standard deviation, or proportion or two proportion, the figure are same for every case. Okay. So this is for two tail, this is left tail, right tail. Okay. So this is critical value approach. Similarly, we have p-value approach. So we can again see the figures looks very same, but these values are different. In case of critical value, the point was minus T alpha by 2, but here it is T0 or T. Okay, this T is actually the value of statistic. Value of statistics, which is obtained with the help of the given or drawn sample. Okay. So if it is T or T0, in this case 2 times the value of this area. This is 1 times less area in the left of T0 or T, and this is area in the right of T. Okay, but then these values are we have to use maybe we can say computer software or whatever the software available. From there we have to calculate this area, because there is no table which gives the value of this area, unlike normal distribution. Okay, in case of normal distribution, we have area and value both we can calculate. Okay, we can calculate area under the normal curve from the table. But in case of P distribution or chi-square distribution or T distribution, F distribution, we don't have such table, and therefore for this value or area to obtain, we have to use the technology. Okay, and you can Google it. Just that T distribution, area under T distribution. You'll find different softwares by different institute, and then those software can be used to find the value of the area. So you will just see in one of the problem. Okay, so this is the summary what we are doing. So let us concentrate here on two samples. Okay. So let us just see this example one. So a neurologist is investigating how disease of the periphery nerves in humans influence the conductivity speed of the nervous system. Okay, so this is the problem. So for this, what doctors do, they take patients which are healthy, and they take patients which have periphery nerve disorder. Okay, so suppose these numbers of patients are taken, and then you can perform this experiment on both the sample. Okay, that is on healthy patients and periphery patients having periphery nerve disorder, and then you can compare the means mu A and mu B. So this difference or the values of mu A and mu B provides an indication of whether disease of the periphery nerves affect the conductivity speed of the nervous system or not. So the problem is this: what is mu A, mu B? So we have to find these two means, okay, and then we can check whether there is an effect of this periphery disorder on conductivity or not. So in this type of problem, so we can, and therefore we require to calculate this two means and then their approximation. So again, there is a example given that you can see. So two types of samples we'll see: paired sample. Pair mean we can say dependent and independent samples. Okay, we have already seen these samples in case of confidence interval, but let us revise. So what is dependent and independent? You just see this example, it will be clear to you. For example, this figure 6. So there are 40 patients, and we have two drugs. Okay, this one is a standard drug, and there is new drug. Okay, so there are two types of drug: standard drug and new drug. So what we do in first day, say if a patient is given standard drug, next day he or she is given new drug like this, and then so we have some observations: x1, x2, x3, x4, x40, and similarly we get values y1, y2, y3, y40. So these are values we get, and so this is same sample, and we are applying two drugs alternatively, we can say. Okay, and we get two samples: x1, x2, x40, y1, y2, y40. But then if you choose 40 patient on standard drug and another 40 patient on new drug, okay, then these two samples will be independent. So here, in fact, we have to consider 80 patients, but here we'll have only 40 patients. So this analysis we have already seen how from these pairs what we do, we calculate di, which is equal to say xi minus yi, and therefore we get a we can reduce these two sample into one sample problem. So corresponding to x1, y1, x2, y2, xn, yn, we'll have d1, d2, dn. So for if you want to perform hypothesis tests on D1, D2, Dn, or on the difference between two samples, then we have to use either T statistics or Z statistics. It depends the numbers in the sample. Okay, but mostly we prefer T statistics here. Okay, because we have to calculate the standard deviation also, and standard deviation is not given one. Okay, and therefore we will use this sample standard deviation, and therefore we have T. So this is actually, if you write in detail, then this formula is actually D bar. D bar is, this is X bar minus Y bar. This is minus mu A minus mu B, or we may write mu X, mu Y, no problem. And then this is SD upon root n. So standard deviation of SD is standard deviation of D1, D2, Dn. Okay, so this T is actually, okay. So most of the time we test this hypothesis problem that A0 mu is equal to 0. So mu is actually the difference between I think mu is equal to 0. Okay, so mu is actually taken as difference mu1 minus mu2 or mu A minus mu B. Okay, so most of the time we have null hypothesis mu A is equal to mu B. Okay, but sometimes in some problems you see that mu A minus mu baby may not be equal to 0. It may be some numbers, okay, equal to say 0.05 like this. So that we can also do. But most of the time it is mu1 is equal to mu2. So mu1 is equal to mu2, so mu will be equal to 0. And therefore, this is a two-sided null hypothesis, mu not equal to 0. And mu is equal to 0, and therefore, so this one, mu is equal to 0, so our T statistics is reduced to D bar upon SD upon root n. So this will be written somewhere, or in this problem you can see. So a random sample of 10 married couples gave the data on ages in years shown in the second and third columns of the following table. So this problem we have already seen in case of confidence interval. Okay. So at 5% significance level, do the data provide sufficient evidence to conclude that the mean age of married men differ from the mean age of married women? Okay. So this is the table given. We have this difference is calculated here, and then total is 36. So state the null and alternative hypothesis. So mu1 of and mu2 is the mean age of all married women. Okay, so we want to see whether there is any difference or not. So if we reject H0, that is null hypothesis, then we can say that there is difference between the two ages. So this, then decide on the significance level. It is given that 5% significance level, and therefore alpha will be 0.05. Then you have to calculate this T. We know that it is D bar upon SD upon root n. So D bar 36 is total value, 10 pairs are there. So this, and similarly we can calculate the standard deviation. Okay. So all the things are there. We have value 2.291. Okay. So this is the comparison now. Critical value for 210 K star plus minus T alpha y. This figure, first figure, you just remember that. Okay. So this figure you remember. This is your T alpha y2. This is minus T alpha y. All right. So alpha we have 0.05. Okay. This alpha is 0.05, and therefore plus minus T alpha by 2 will be 0.05 by 2. That is T 0.02. So this value is 2.262. So this is actually minus 2.262, and here it is 2.262 plus. Okay, and the T value is 2.291. So you can see that this T value actually it is greater than T alpha.
अभ्यास करू नये ना पाच वाजता तो आता मॅच चालू कर ना तर काय करतोय तो आता
So you can see that T value is greater than T alpha by 2, and therefore these are the rejection regions. Okay, these are the rejection region, and therefore we reject null hypothesis in this case. All right. Okay. Now next is, so this is our critical value 2.262. So interpret the results of the hypothesis test. So conclude that the mean age of married men differ from the mean age of married women because we have rejected the null hypothesis. Now let us see analysis of independence. This p-value analysis we will see in one of the problem here later on. In this problem it is not done. Okay. So independent samples. So in case of independent sample, if you remember, we have three procedure here. In case of confidence interval also we saw these three procedure. In case of Z procedure, we have sigma 1 and sigma 2 are known. Okay. So when we use the known standard deviations of two populations, then we apply Z procedure. Okay. Otherwise, we here sigma 1, sigma 2 not known. Okay. But in case of full variance procedure, what we do, we assume that sigma 1 is equal to sigma 2. Okay. Though they are not known, but we assume that whatever the value of standard deviation of one population is there, first population, the second population also has the same standard deviation. Okay. This we assume. And in the first case, that is most general, here we assume that sigma 1 is not equal to sigma 2. So these are three cases here. Z procedure, sigma 1, sigma 2 known. We use these values to find Z statistic. Okay. Here not known, but assume equal. And then with the help of this equal sigma 2, what we do, we will calculate full variance procedure, full variance or full standard deviation we will calculate. So all these things we have seen, just repetition of the previous things. So first one is general procedure. Now in general procedure, what we have? We have sigma 1, sigma 2 not known and not equal. sigma 1, sigma 2 not known and not equal. Okay. So these are our assumptions here. So sigma 1, sigma 2 not known, and therefore we can use sample standard deviation Sx, Sy. Okay. So in this case, our T statistic is T distribution having mu standard mu degree of freedom, but this mu is calculated by this formula. This we have already seen. Okay. So in this case, the degree of freedom is calculated by this formula. All these values are known because the sample is known. Sometimes this degree of freedom is also used, but it very rarely. Okay, minimum of n and n minus 1. So what is our hypothesis space? Let us discuss. So suppose if the difference is delta, okay, but most of the time this delta will be 0, and therefore it will be mu a is equal to mu b. Okay, and delta will be 0, so it will be mu a not equal to mu b. But if in some cases it is equal to delta, no problem, we can use it. So the appropriate T statistics, the same thing is this one. So in this case, we have seen standard error is given by this one. This is standard error of the difference of two mean. Okay. So denominator is standard error. This is statistic, and then E of statistic. All right. So T value will be given by this formula. And P value, as we have seen, you can see that this P value is 2 times one side area, either right side or left side. Both are equal because the curve is symmetric. Okay, so either we can take x greater than mod t or x less than mod t, no problem. So it is twice P values, and this x is actually T distribution having new degree of freedoms, where nu is given by this formula. And then this is just same thing as I've told you. If t lies between minus t alpha by 2 and t alpha by 2, we accept the null hypothesis. And if t greater than t alpha by 2 or t less than minus t alpha by 2, we reject. Similarly for t value, one-sided. Okay, in case of one-sided, and that is also right-tailed. Okay, the p value is area in the right of t, and we accept the null hypothesis if t is less than t alpha nu. So this is actually p value approach, and these are critical value approach. So here critical values are t alpha nu and just one critical value, t alpha mu. Because in this case, either we have, if this is right, no. So in case of right, we have this is your t alpha mu. All right. So if it is left, this is acceptance region. The right one is rejection region. Similarly for left side, okay, this is confidence interval. We have already seen. So let us see this problem. Example 4. So what it says, all the values are given in fact. There is one sample for which n is equal to 24, mean and standard deviation are given, and similarly the other sample has these values. Okay, and suppose we want to test this hypothesis two-sided. So two-sided, what we'll do, we'll first calculate t. Because mu a is equal to mu b, this delta is 0 here, and therefore you can see that the t value is minus 3.169. All right. Now, if you critical value approach, there are two approach. Critical value, and for this we have to decide alpha. Okay, so in this problem here it is not given, so you'll see that. So two-sided p value is therefore, so p value will be immediately calculated by this 2 times px greater than 3.169. T statistic, because this is two-sided, not equal to, and therefore you have to consider the area both sides. This one like this. So this is your say 3.169, and this is minus 3.169. So both this area will be our p value. So it is 2 times. We can calculate the degree of freedom, 48, so we can take 48. Now this p value, it is 2 times 0.00135. So let us see how this value is obtained. Okay, what is this value? This is actually probability, rather, capital P, x greater than 3.169, I hope. Yes, 3.169. And what is x? X is actually t distribution having 48 degree of freedom. This one, 48 degree of freedom. All right. So for this, let us try to find this value. So for that, we have to use one of the technology here. So area under T distribution. So you can see that, okay, this mu is there. You can put 48 here. X is there. This is 3.169. And we want which area? Px greater than, there are options here. Okay, x greater than x, x less than x. 2 times directly we can find this. Okay, if you say you can find 00266. So our value is this one, 0.027. Okay, so this we are getting 0.00135 at here. So this is first one here, actually x greater than x. So 0.00133. Okay, it is given 135. So there is some, maybe if you see some different calculator, you may find different value. But at least it is correct to 4 decimal places. Okay, so in this way we can use these T distribution calculators to find the area under T curves or chi curves or F curves. All right. So this p value is obtained at 0.0027. this t interval is there. Sorry, yes, interval is there. But then you can see that because t is this p value is small. What is a p value approach? This is 0.01 and 0.10. Okay. So if it is less than 0.01, that is here, this is reject null hypothesis. And here we accept null hypothesis. Okay. Now our value, you can see that p value is less than 0.01, and therefore we directly reject the null hypothesis. Okay. Another approach, that is confidence interval approach, is given here. So if we find confidence interval approach, here you can see that it is minus 5.28 minus 0.44. All right. So this is our confidence interval. Now what we have to check here? 0. 0 is in fact the difference between the two mean. Our null hypothesis is mu1 is equal to mu2, and therefore difference is 0. So we want to check whether 0 lies here or not. So you can see that both the numbers are negative, and therefore 0 doesn't lie there. And so from this confidence interval also, the null hypothesis is rejected. Okay. So from both the approaches, you can say that we have rejected the null hypothesis. All right. Now next approach, next method is pooled variance procedure. So in this case, what we have sigma 1 and sigma 2 not known. And sigma 1 is equal to sigma 2. This is our assumption. Okay. So sigma 1, sigma 2 not known. Sigma 1 is equal to sigma 2. Notations are different. Sigma A, sigma B here. So in this case, we use this. That is, we approximate sigma A, sigma B by sigma cap, okay, which is known as pooled variance. So standard error, we have already seen that it is sigma A square upon n plus sigma B square upon n. And if you assume that both these numbers are equal, then you can take it out, okay, and therefore we get it. But we don't know the value of sigma, and therefore what we will do, we will use this Sx and Sy, okay, which are sample standard deviation, to calculate or approximate sigma. So this is a pooled. So what sigma is? Sigma is approximated by SP, okay, pooled standard deviation. And in this case, the degree of freedom is n plus m by 2, but it is somewhere it will be calculated. This one, okay. So this is our SP square actually. So from this we can find SP, and this sigma is in fact approximated by SP. So this you can see that this is nothing but weighted mean of Sx square and Sy square. So n minus 1 Sx square plus n minus 1 Sy square by n plus m minus 2. So just remember these things. Rest are same. T is actually this. If delta is 0, it will be x bar minus y bar upon sp root of 1 upon n plus 1 upon b. P value same, acceptance, rejection region, everything is same. These things will be repeated again and again and again. All these things are same. Confidence interval given, we have already seen. So let us come to this problem. So this is n is equal to 24, this given m, the same problem I think. So simple standard deviations are similar. So it may be reasonable to assume that population variance are equal. Okay. So this we are deciding. Now simple standard deviation, here you can see that it is 3.438 and this is 3.305. So they are almost equal, and therefore what we assume that the two populations have the same standard deviation, that is sigma 1 is equal to sigma 2. All right, and therefore we apply pooled variance process to test this hypothesis, and therefore we calculate SP. Okay, so SP is here 3.360. If you want to use two-sided, then mu A not equal to mu B. This AJ is missing here. AJ mu not equal to mu B. H0 mu A is equal to mu B. All right. So we can calculate T. All right. So T is again we have a minus 3.19. Last time we have I think a minus 3.196 in the last problem. It's almost same. The value is almost equal. Okay. So P value again less than 0.01, and therefore we can reject the null hypothesis from this approach. These are confidence intervals is given. So you can check what happens with the critical value approach here. So for this, first you have to decide alpha actually. Okay? Alpha is not given here, and therefore, so far you can take alpha 5%, that is equal to 0.05, 1%, that is 0.01, or 10%, that is 0.10. All right. So we can use this significance level, and then we can approach critical value approach. So in case of two-sided, we know that T alpha by 2 is the critical value. So when should an experimenter use this method with a full variance estimate? And when should the general procedure be implied that does not require the equality of two population variance? So the question is when full variance should be applied and when general procedure. So what it says, the safest answer is to always use the general procedure, since it provides a valid analysis even when the population variances are equal. Okay. So even the you know that population variances are equal, you can use general methods, no problem. However, if the population variances are equal or quite similar, then the pooled variances procedure generally provides a slightly more powerful analysis. Okay, slightly more powerful analysis. And with slightly shorter confidence interval and slightly smaller p-values. Okay. So if it is known, I think we can use what? Pooled variance procedure. Otherwise, general procedure is always there. So what it says in the third point is it's a similar, provides similar result. But in fact, if the results are quite different, then this will be because the sample standard deviation Sx and Sy are quite different. In which case it is proper to use the general procedure that does not require the equality of the population variance. Okay. So what is happening actually, we don't know the standard deviation of populations. Okay. And if this sample standard deviations are quite different, then it is better to use general process. Okay. In this case, if you use pooled variance process, then result may be quite different. That is the reason. Okay. The last one is jet procedures, the simplest one. Okay, because we are very familiar with normal distribution, normal table, and here sigma 1, sigma 2, the two standard deviations of the populations are known. Okay. So what we have sigma 1, sigma 2 are known. Okay. So we, in this case, we use the known standard deviations of the population. So these are some distribution parameters. E is mu a minus mu b, and variance is this one, and therefore standard error will be, in this case, standard error will be under root of this sigma a square upon n minus sigma b square upon m. So Z statistics is this one. This is actually again statistic, then minus E of STIC, and the denominator is standard error of statistic. Okay. So then this Z is standard normal distribution. So there is this p value again in this case. So this Z is here actually. So p value is, if this is Z, so this is minus Z. So these two areas you just add, and therefore it is 2 times px greater than Z, and this area is actually phi, of course, capital minus Z. Okay, phi minus Z. And if alpha is decided, then if Z lies between minus Z alpha by 2 to Z alpha by 2. So if our Z lies between these two numbers, then we accept the hypothesis, null hypothesis. Otherwise, we reject. Otherwise means it is greater than Z alpha by 2 and it is less than minus Z alpha by 2. So same things for one-sided test, and then confidence interval. So let us see this problem. To compare customer satisfaction levels of two competing cable television companies, 174 customers of company 1 and 355 customers of company 2 were randomly selected and were asked to rate their cable companies on a 5-point scale. Okay, with 1 between being the least satisfied and 5 the most satisfied. The survey results are summarized in the following table. So the mean value is 3.51. Here you have 3.24, and the standard deviation is 0.51, and here 0.5. All right. So what we are asked to do, we have to construct 99% confidence interval so that we can see. Test at the 1% level of significance whether the data provides sufficient evidence to conclude that company 1 has a higher mean satisfaction rating than does company 2. Use the critical value approach. And then you have to use the p-value approach. So these are 3 approaches: confidence interval, critical value, and p-value approach. So all the 3 approaches are applied in this problem. So let us see the second one. Okay. Second one is what? Critical value approach, 1% significance level. So this is a Z statistics. S1 square by N1 and S2. Okay. So we get a Z value 5.684. So if Z is 5.684, then P will be, P value will be equal to 2 times I of minus 5.684. Okay, because if you consider this part, okay, so Z is 5.684, so minus Z will be here, minus 5.684. So this area, I minus 5.684 is this area, and then plus side this area. Total you have to add. So we are doing 2 times. All right. Now this value we can find using normal distribution table. Okay, because here we have the table which gives the area under the normal curve. But this is not p-value approach, this is a critical value approach. So Z alpha is 1%. Okay, 1%, and therefore alpha is equal to 0.01. All right. But let us see what is our alternate hypothesis. In this way, we have to talk. So mu1 greater than mu2. So sorry, I thought it is two-sided, but it is not two-sided. This is in case of two-sided. Okay, so it is one-sided. So one-sided, and suppose this is Z, which is actually 5.6 something. So you have to find this area. All right. Now this area is actually, so for this we have alpha. Alpha is equal to 0.01. So alpha one-sided, again it is one-sided, and therefore what we have to do, we have to critical value will be actually equal to Z alpha. All right. So alpha is 0.01 and therefore critical value will be Z alpha. So what we have to do, we have to find this from the table, and you can see that this value is actually 2.23, 2.326. So critical value is 2.326. If we just compare these two, so Z value is greater than critical value. Okay. Z value. So say this is what is our critical value? 326. Maybe somewhere we have a Z value, that is 5.6. So in this case, actually, this is a rejection region. Acceptance region is the left side of 2.36, and therefore we reject the null hypothesis. You can see that 2.236 is there. This is a red line is the rejection region, and here it falls. Z value comes 5.684, and therefore we reject. All right. Now third is what? P-value approach. Okay, third is P-value approach. So for this, we have already calculated Z value. Okay, and then you have to calculate the area. So in this case, you'll see that because it is one-sided problem, this is suppose Z hour 5.684. Okay, so write off this area. So this is P value will be equal to probability X greater than 5.684. All right. So 5.684. Again, we can find this value from the software. And here, what is X? X is no, not software, because this is normal distribution. No? So this is same as 5 minus 5.68. So this value we can find often from the normal distribution table, 5 minus 5.68. Okay, which is actually, because it is very, very small, it is coming like this. So first 4 digits are 0. In fact, it is approximately equal to this number. Okay, so this is very, very small number, less than 0.01. So definitely we can reject the null hypothesis. We have more problems here. You can see. So following table shows the scores of the 15 patients who underwent the standard treatment. Okay, in 15 patients we underwent the new treatment. Higher scores correspond to greater improvement in the patient's condition. The average of the scores with the new treatment is this, and the old or standard treatment is 47.47. Is this a difference statistically significant? So that we have to check. So these values are given here. There are two different sets of patients undergoing the two therapies. So we have unpaired samples. And if we apply general procedure, so general procedure, the degree of freedom is there. This formula. Okay. This is our hypothesis, mu A greater than or equal to mu B and mu A less than mu B. So this is 27. So T statistic is T is equal to minus 0.949 and P value is 0.175. Okay. And confidence interval is also given here. So just remember this. P value is 0.175. T value is minus 0.949. So this is 175. So naturally it is greater than 0.10. So we accept the null hypothesis. Okay. And if you calculate confidence interval. Okay. Now confidence interval is minus infinity 5.99. So what is the value? Mu A minus mu B. Just see. Here it is there. This is X is say A. So mu A minus mu B. This will be 47.47 minus 51.20. So it is almost a minus 3. Okay. So what confidence interval we have got? We have got minus infinity 5.99. All right. So definitely our mu1 minus mu2, mu A minus mu B are lies between these two numbers. Okay. It means that we should accept the null hypothesis. The p-value approach also suggests null hypothesis should be accepted. Okay. However, if we apply pooled variance procedure, so in this case, we can calculate a pooled standard deviation, and the degree of freedom will be 28. T statistic is minus 0.946, and then P value is again 0.175. Okay, T statistic 949, and it is a very marginal difference, minus 946. So P value is same for both. And then this confidence interval we can find minus infinity. This is not a type comma, but in fact 5.97. Okay. And what was there? 5.99. So very slightly difference between the two approaches. So both the unpooled and pooled analysis report p-value is same. Must conclude that there is insufficient evidence to reject the null hypothesis, and therefore we accept. Okay. Now this is a problem where we have taken delta to be plus 3.0. Okay. So this here you can see this delta is not 0 here, delta is 3.0. So you just go through these problems, and if you have any difficulty, you can ask and then we can discuss. So if you have any questions to ask, you can ask me.